Hello everyone, welcome back to Bridge is for Everyone. My name's Jad. This is part 11 of a series explaining the standard American yellow card system of bridge. This video explains the SAYC rules for defensive leads. Section 16 of the SAYC booklet explains the rules of card play to be used when playing SAYC. This includes leads against your opponent's contracts and signals to be used during play. Although this section of the booklet starts with signals, it's more logical to start with leads. SAYC does not specify which suit to lead, but it does specify which card should be led from a suit. For leads, there are two general principles that SAYC identifies. First, the general rule is to lead the fourth best card in a suit if no other rule applies. And the second is that in many cases, the lead against a suit contract is different from the lead against a no-trump contract. Leads are explained quite differently in each of the two SAYC documents. In the SAYC booklet, the explanation is descriptive. It gives some of the general principles and is quite brief. But in the SAYC system card, the explanation looks at 26 different cases. This makes it quite specific and lengthy. My explanation sits between these extremes, giving all the general principles supported by examples. This should give you complete understanding without extensive rote learning. Let's start with the lead from a suit with no honor cards. That is, no 10 cards or higher. If you're leading from a suit of 4 or more small cards, against a suit contract, you apply the general rule and lead the fourth best card. In this case, the 3 of hearts. But against a no-trump contract, the general rule does not apply. SAYC requires you to lead the second best card. In this case, the 7 of hearts. This is not the standard lead that I or many others would teach, but it is specifically required by SAYC. You must use it to comply with the rules and to convey the correct information to partner. Now let's look at another very similar rule. This time you have only 3 low cards. Against a suit contract, you must lead the low card. But against a no-trump contract, you must lead the high card. Once again, this lead is somewhat unusual, but it is a requirement of SAYC. Now let's look at the rule for leading against a suit contract when you do have honor cards. SAYC specifies the lead for suits that meet 2 conditions. First, the suit must have an honor card and the card immediately below it, that is, the lower touching card. The second condition is that the suit must have at least 1 additional lower card. There are 2 types of hands that meet these requirements. First, suits of 3 or more cards headed by an honor and the next lower card. In this example, the Queen and Jack of Hearts. SAYC says to lead the higher of the touching cards. In this case, the Queen of Hearts. Second, suits of 4 or more cards with an honor card and then a gap followed by another honor and the next lower card. SAYC uses the same rule. Lead the higher of the touching cards. In this example, you would lead the Jack of Hearts. Now let's look at what SAYC says about leading against a no-trump contract from a suit with honour cards. In all cases, the suit must have 4 or more cards. But there are 2 different situations defined by SAYC. First, a suit with an honour card at the top of a sequence of 3 or more touching cards. In this example, the suit has 4 cards and the Jack is the top of a sequence of 3 cards. SAYC requires a lead of the top card in the sequence, the Jack of Hearts. The second situation has a different honour structure. It contains a broken sequence of 3 honours. Specifically, it is broken after the second honour. That is, there is a gap to the third honour. There are only 2 possibilities for this to happen. First, when the Queen is missing in a sequence headed by the Ace. In this case, the 4th card can be any lower card. SAYC requires the lower of the top 2 honours be led. And second, when the Jack is missing from a sequence headed by the King. This time, the lower card must be the next in the sequence, the 9. The SAYC rule is the same. SAYC requires the lower of the top 2 honours be led. That completes the SAYC rules for leads. But before leaving the topic, there are some important comments I need to make. First, if you are playing SAYC, you need to be familiar with and follow the rules for leads. In my very early years, I was playing with someone I had met only a few minutes prior and agreed to play a system that I understood from a bidding perspective. Unfortunately, I wasn't certain of the rules for leads, which led to a significant misunderstanding. Fortunately, we recovered from it and played that system together for years. Very importantly, you need to look at the implications for your lead. Be careful that you are not implying a suit structure that you do not have. And finally, these lead rules apply specifically to opening leads where you have little additional information. On later tricks, you can see dummy's hand and use previous card play to inspire your lead decisions. The rules for leads specified by SAYC are more complex than the rules I teach. I find this complexity is not efficient, nor is it an effective use of the memory for most of my students. This video is the 11th in a series explaining the rules of the SAYC system of bridge. It explained the SAYC rules for defensive leads. Thanks for watching. If you found the video useful, please consider subscribing to this channel. Until next time, this is Jad reminding you that bridge is for everyone.